This is Matthew McConaughey.
Natalie Portman.
James Patterson.
Michael Ian Black.
And you are listening to
Five Questions
with Dan
Chabelle.
Frankie, welcome to Five Questions.
Thank you for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
What was it like being homeschooled by your mother during your childhood, and what role has she played in your career?
Homeschool actually happened because acting kind of took over my life, right? I was going to regular public school. I actually got accepted into this really hard to get in middle school. So I was going to a new school, sixth grade, and my mom and I had gone up to New York to continue acting, and I kept kind of booking stuff. So I missed the first 2 or 3 weeks of the school year, and they kicked me out. So we were like, what are we going to do? So we found a homeschool curriculum and had my mom teach me while I can continue acting and stuff like that. And I was thrilled with it. You know what I mean? I always enjoyed going to school, but at the same time, I loved getting to kind of continue doing the acting and going on auditions and not having to worry about getting behind. I also made my own schooling plan. I'm sorry I talk a lot, but my own. So I would do math from 7 to 8, and I would do music class, which was me going and watching Hanson videos and playing drums along to it, and then go back to school. So I enjoyed homeschool. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
No, absolutely. It's great. And it obviously connects to what we'll be talking about, how, you were in a band and you've done so many different activities and kind of your entrepreneurial spirit, and a lot of things you're currently doing now probably stem a lot from your childhood. Yep. And what I've noticed, I've interviewed a lot of childhood actors over the years, and one of the things that they have in common, the ones who have shaped up to not get in too much trouble, are having supportive family, and then obviously
there's not many of us.
and then just overall just work ethic and being grounded, and that has to do with family too. Let's talk about NASCAR. So when did your interest in racing start, and what were the challenges to doing NASCAR full time?
So I've been a race fan my whole life. I remember being 5, 6 years old, waking up Sunday mornings and watching the Formula One races live from whatever country they're in. I just always enjoyed cars, racing. Getting my license was the greatest moment in my life. I could never request days off when I was on Malcolm, but I had my 16th birthday off so I could be the first one at the DMV to get my driver's license. That said, being a fan and becoming a driver, it's kind of like saying you want to be an astronaut as a kid, right? Yeah. How do you really become a race car driver? How do you really become an astronaut? I did the pro celebrity race in Long Beach that they put on for 40 years in 2004 or 2005, and I won. And having that feeling, having accomplished so much, even though I was only 18 or 19 in my past, I had never felt more joy of winning that race. Granted, even then, celebrity race, how to become a race car driver. A pro team approached me just to give me a test. Come out, have fun. And I was really fast. So they signed me on the spot to a 2-year deal. I raced 2006 in Formula BMW, moved up to the Champ Car Atlantic Championship in 2007. I raced in that to 2009. So it kind of just happened. I didn't have the typical path that most people have getting into racing. Most people start at 5, 6, 7 years old, starting in karts, work their way up. They
do what you do with acting.
Exactly. And that's their lives, right? Everything that, they do is to prepare them to be the best race car drivers they can be. So I started really late at 19 years old. I raced until, like I said, 2009. I got pretty badly hurt. I broke my back, pins in my hand. So I missed the whole next season and always thought I was going to go back racing. Always that in my mind was what I was supposed to do. Once I started racing, I felt like that's what me as Frankie Muniz was supposed to be doing. Maybe other people have a different opinion of that. You know what I mean? They think I'm supposed to be an actor or this. I want to do a bunch of things, but me, I think I was meant to be a race car driver.
Yeah, because a lot of people see you as an actor. It's hard for them. It's almost like getting cast in the same roles. It's hard for them to see you in a different role.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I'm not trying to I don't not want people to see me as an actor or see me for the things I did in the past. I'm extremely proud of everything I've done as an actor. or even when I'm gonna do, like I'm actually filming a movie starting next week. You know what I mean? So I'm still acting. It's just that racing is my focus right now. So if it works out in the schedule to where it doesn't interfere with my prep and testing and everything I can do to be physically and mentally ready for the race, then I'll still take it on. So going back to, I took a 12, 13-year break. That wasn't my intention. It's just that life kind of takes over, right? I missed a year. I joined a band. I toured for 3 or 4 years, and then I opened a business, and it finally hit me. I had my son. He's 20 months old, almost 2. And I was sitting in the hospital with him. I was holding him, and I go, what kind of father am I going to be? Or like, what is he going to think of me? Or who is he going to see me as a person, like as he's growing up? And although I have accomplished so much in my past, I really felt like I was nothing in the moment, right? I'd done so much in my past, and I had so much I could show him, but like, I didn't want to just be sitting at home. You know what I mean? And when I thought back of all the things that I've done and all the things I wanted to do, racing was the thing I felt like I had the most unfinished business and that I was really passionate about. And I wanted to see him. I wanted him to see me reaching for that dream, because it's not going to be easy. And that's the other thing I'll say right now is like, I'm choosing this path. I could do a lot of things. I want this so bad, and I'm working so hard for it. And I'm hoping it's successful, but I'm working hard for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. And speaking about all the things you were doing in the meantime, and even right now, besides racing and still acting, and being in a band and starting businesses, what have you learned about yourself during that process?
I learned that when I commit to something, I commit 100%. You know what I mean? I don't just halfway do things. Nothing I really do in my life is as a hobby, if that makes sense. I like to commit. I've also learned, which I think is the greatest thing that I can take towards this journey of becoming a NASCAR driver. When I look back at my life, I'm much more appreciative of opportunity I've had now than I was. Not that I was like, oh, whatever. It was my life. I just did it. Oh, I got to film this. I got to go here. I'm on this show. I'm doing this. It just was my life. But I can look back and realize when you have an opportunity, you might not have it next year, right? So to take 100% advantage of the opportunity you have in front of you. I don't want to look back at the end of this year and go, I wish I put in more time. I wish I tried harder. This is it. If I don't have success this year, I'm probably not a race car driver next year. So I've got to take advantage of that. And being older, I feel like I've learned that I am old to be going into the NASCAR world at 37.
But you could be much older trying to do it too.
Sure. But, I'm racing against people who are 16, 17, 18. They have maybe less fear. They haven't hit a wall as hard as I have. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they also know that it's their opportunity to find success or to put food on their table for their families, right? So it's a different mindset, but I feel like my mindset of having all my past experience helps me a lot to be more motivated and prepared than maybe they will be.
Yeah. And it's all these qualities that you have that you've been talking about, the work ethic, the drive, the, kind of never giving up and never really having regrets or trying not to, have allowed you to be successful in more than one industry and profession. That comes across very clear.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm working hard. I that's the thing I want to say to listeners or to anyone is I don't take anything lightly. Like I'm not getting things just handed to me in a sense. But the opportunities I have, like I am all in. Like I am working my butt off to be where I am right now. You know what I mean? And we'll see. I've got a very steep learning curve ahead, but it won't be for lack of effort if I don't find success in it. That's for sure.
What lasting impact did meeting Dale Earnhardt have on you?
Man, to be honest, it was. Even to this moment, just hearing you say his name, like I get brought back to that moment as if it was yesterday. That was really, I'd been to races before as a fan, like sitting in the stands, but I got to drive the pace car at the 2001 Daytona 500. Malcolm had just premiered maybe it was maybe a year old, and it was still really extremely successful. And Dale Earnhardt, who was one of my heroes as a kid, came up to me and he goes, "Oh man, I just got to say, like, I'm your biggest fan. Your show, it's so great. It's brought me and my daughter so much closer." And, just such an incredible experience. And then obviously later on that afternoon, he died in the race, at the end of the race. I don't think I've ever cried as hard as I did finding out that news. It was crazy, but there's kind of this weird full circle deal with that. That day, I was basically the last person to talk to Dale Earnhardt, except for his crew chief. I was wearing an M&M's jacket, which is Kenny Schrader's team. I was, in his pit box. Kenny Schrader signed it. Sterling Marlin signed it, who was on pole. He drove the number 40 car, and Dale Earnhardt signed my jacket. Those are the 3 signatures I have on that jacket. The 3 people that were involved in that incident that ended up causing that wreck were obviously Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin in the 40 car, and Kenny Schrader. So it's a weird kind of tie there. There's another weird element that really kind of affected me last week. The car that I drove this past weekend and that I'm going to be racing in Daytona next month is literally the chassis of the number 40 car. So it's literally the car. You know what I mean? And there's a video of me in 2001 in the pace car, and you just see the number 40 car, and that's the car that I'm driving for the race.
Let's hope you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, no, so it creeped me out. It didn't creep me out, but it was a weird, like, whoa, like the impact of that. But in my head, I feel like that's the universe telling me, like, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. You know what I mean? Granted, did it impact me, like, going into testing? I'm not going to lie. I thought about it, like, even on track, like I'm in turn 3 and 4 and you see that wall and you go, man, this is where it happened. And you can't as a race car driver, you can't let that affect you, right? You can't let that slow you down or, make you cautious, because you've got to just be committed. You just got to go. You got to be as fast as you can be. But it is a really emotional kind of ordeal. I feel like I have the opportunity to win next month. I think I can win Daytona. And I think about what that would mean to me and the impact. I emotionally, I can't even fathom what that would be. But I don't know. I'm excited. So,
well, psychologically, you have to go in thinking you can win, right?
Like, yeah. I guess if you're going into a race thinking that you're not going to win,
you're not going to put your effort in. It's just,
But I know, like, based on the speed that we had at the test, and I'm really, really comfortable in the car, and the car that my team gave me is it's fast. So we have the ability to win. You know what I mean? Daytona is a little bit of a lottery because it's such close racing, and there's always what they call the big one, where there's a big wreck that might take out a 40 car start, 20 cars might be involved in that wreck. So if you avoid that, you have a chance. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes.
And what's your best piece of career advice?
My best career advice is to take advantage of every opportunity you have. Whether it's, if you're an actor or you want to be a race car, whatever it is, even if it's local theater, school play, commit and enjoy that opportunity, because you don't know what will come from that. A lot of business, in every business, has to do with relationships. So maybe you worked on a small project that you thought was nothing or didn't really matter, and that someone from that project went on to become something bigger or someone bigger, and they go, you know who I worked with 5 years ago, 2 years ago? This guy in this little local theater, and I want him in this project with me. So I say, commit 100%, take advantage of the opportunity, and just enjoy it.
I love that advice. Yeah, I love that
Grateful.
advice because I like it so much, because you just don't know what's possible, right?
Yeah,
but if you're
no.
kind of lazy and slacking off, then people are not going to recommend you to anyone else. Like building
For
any
sure.
business, like building any career. So it is universally applicable
It
advice.
is. And that's something I feel like I've learned over the years. I always was grateful for the opportunities, but like I said, I just kind of did it. But now I look back and I go, man, like that happened because of when you put the pieces together of why things fell into place for me to become Malcolm and be Emmy and Golden Globe nominated. Well, all started because Evan Rachel Wood's dad put me as Tiny Tim in this little local theater in Raleigh, North Carolina. You know what I mean? And it all grew from there. So that's my advice.
Well, that's great advice. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.